Hi, everyone. Welcome. Bonnie Negron here. And today I have the honor of introducing you to someone truly exceptional. Thomas Hernandez is a powerhouse technology executive and a proud Army veteran. He recently made a major leap in his career, stepping into a leadership role in the government contracting space, where he's making an amazing, real impact. So, what I love most about Tom's story is how intentional he was in carving out the next chapter of his career. We met, over Zoom. I spoke with him and his wife, and he came into the career shakeup with vision and drive and a commitment to aligning his experience with his bigger purpose. And what happened next is nothing short, but, inspiring. So, Thomas, let's dive in. For those who don't know you yet, can you tell us a little bit about your background and what you do?
Yes, thank you, Bonnie. My background, it specializes in communications, IT, cybersecurity, and engineering. So with that, I cut my teeth in the U.S. Army. I learned like a lot of that in the U.S. Army, and then after that, I got out of the U.S. military. I just continued on that progression, and when I was in the Army, I jumped out of perfectly good airplanes and did all that fun stuff, and yeah, just it gave me a good foundation and it allowed me to continue to progress, both within government contracting, the private sector, big four consulting, etc.
Mhm.
And it's just one foot in front of the other. And for me, just solving problems and solving puzzles is, the things that drive me, but also looking at the second and third order of effects on things. And then I
Yeah.
just found that, like, as I grew in my experience, to your point, carving out the next chapter on what that looks like, what's fulfilling, and eliminating like perceived glass ceilings,
Yep.
and just doing that. And the
Yeah.
other piece is just simply articulating everything that like you do, because if you're in it, you don't know, but from an outside perspective, it's like, well, you've done this, and this.
Yep.
And that was kind of some of the things that I felt that I was missing.
Mhm.
I just feel that like identifying a blind spot is something that, perhaps, we all should be good at and know when to, pull in some outside help, or when to just do it on a self-assessment. And
Yeah.
that that's what led me to you.
Yeah, exactly, and I remember when we first spoke, and this was a while back, but I remember you were the more that we had a conversation, you kept telling me more things about your career history, and of course, I had just had a resume that you worked on or that you had, and I was like, "What?" The more I learned about you, I was, like, so inspired. I'm like, "You did what?" Like, you speak on stages, like, there was so much more that
Yeah.
resume wasn't saying, and I just enjoyed learning more about you. But before we talk more about that, tell me, like, before you joined Career Shakeup, like, what was going on in your career that made you reach out for support in the first place? Because you
Well,
felt like you needed something to change, right?
definitely. It's just to kind of be like the orchestrator and like master of my own domain, and
Mhm,
to kind of step forward, and this is the things that I'm targeting, and this is what I'm looking for, rather than, hey, let me see what's out there.
mhm,
It's more targeted and more intentional. So I f- I felt that that was something that I needed to, align on that, and articulate everything that I could do. I was working in the private sector, as a technology executive, and like when one door closes, another one opens. So I feel that alignment, professionally, and just on all things across the board, it gives the drive to what you're doing. So I felt that I was working and I was doing well, but then it's like, well, why am I seeking more?
yeah,
Right? It was
yeah,
an honest
something was
question. Like,
missing.
why do I feel that I need to seek more?
Yeah,
And then just looking at that, and it's like, well, um, I'm not in the industry that I want to be in, one. And then two, if I am in the industry that I want to be in, can I join and can I remain at like that senior leadership level?
Right.
right? And how do I merge the two together? So
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
you know, again, that's what specifically led me to, to your firm, your organization. And there's just some key pieces missing, right?
Yeah.
Like you could work in prominent roles, but that and the alignment and not just going to see what's out there, but intentionally looking,
Exactly,
right?
having that strategy in place. I mean, that's one of the biggest things that I always teach. Like before you go into a job search, have a strategy, have a game plan. Don't just throw things out there and see what sticks. I mean, that is the worst way to maybe find yourself in a position that you regret, have you some regrets and things like that. And if that could be avoided at all costs, I mean, that's it's always the best way to go. So yeah. And
For
with
sure.
that being said, we worked together over a couple of months and you stepped into a major leadership role in the government contracting space. And I just learned today, like relocated with your family, which is amazing for this role. So what do you think was the biggest shift that helped you make that leap?
Well, I'll give you an analogy, right? I was a paratrooper and I jumped out of perfectly good airplanes, right? But there comes a point where when you turn and the doors open and you got to jump, you got to make the leap, right? So I use that analogy because I had to make the leap, and I have a belief in myself. I have a purpose that I'm seeking, and for me, it was mindset, being able to articulate all the things that I've done objectively,
Mhm.
right? To step outside of myself. And in order to step outside of myself, I think successfully, I think another set of eyes in an organization that targets that specifically is like, well, you've done this. Like when we talked, I was on my way to a keynote speech,
I
right?
remember. Yeah.
So and I didn't think much of it because I'm like, oh, I'm just going there and it's just a conversation. And you're like, no, no, no. And that led to just more like to where you just had more of a of an awareness of how, through your program and through your firm, how you can help me specifically with with what I'm looking for, right?
Yeah.
Because it I was looking, but it's like maybe like to learn how to look effectively. I
Hmm.
think that's the best way to put it,
Yeah.
and also to have the tools with which to go do that
Right. Exactly.
when
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember you were like, you put me to the test. You like, this is gonna work, right, Bonnie? Like, I remember you saying something like that, and your wife got on and she was asking questions. And I just love that because I think once you have a partner that's all in and supports you, it makes the process so much easier and stronger. I just think there's so much power in it when you have someone who you love is really supporting you throughout the program. But you took the leap, you dove in, and you ended up with this amazing role. What can you say about the Career Shakeup program? Aside from you being able to identify like what were the missing pieces in your career that you should be highlighting, because we're all about career brands here. But how did you feel, the Career Shakeup program supported you during this change, and what awareness did you have?
well, the awareness in terms of meeting with like-minded individuals that
Hmm.
were perhaps at that level, right? In terms of, senior key leadership, C-suite level, right? And it's just looking at that and comparing the perspectives from different industries. And it prepared me with perspective, obviously the documents and all the other things, the knowledge in terms of the artifacts to go through, like how mapping, even just with keyword searches, optimizing LinkedIn. I mean, all of
Yeah.
those things, because for me, like, it's like, all right, well, I haven't really done that.
Hmm.
Like, opportunities have found me, and then I just kind of like figured it out.
Right.
But at this point, like, if I want to transition, and we talked about this, like if I'm going from success to significance, right? There is like, you know, how do I say it? Like a monumental shift that has to happen,
Right.
right? And I can't do that alone.
Yeah.
So that's the most simplistic way to put it, right? It's like, okay, you elicit, you know, the help of a program and of experts that look, I've done this, I've lived this, I've seen what this looks like, and let's dive in.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so important to have that mentor, that coach, or that support to just guide you to this way you could just avoid, guesswork or making mistakes and kind of fast tracking you along too because you're very busy, executive. You were doing a lot of things outside of work and the last thing you wanted to do is waste your time just applying online for applications. And I remember too, like the LinkedIn, you were kind of dabbling in it, if I recall, like you weren't really
Yeah.
yeah, like talk a little bit about like what you learned like more about
Oh
being
wow.
on LinkedIn.
Oh wow. I don't even know if we have enough time, but I'll keep it I'll keep it succinct.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's understanding, well, obviously understanding how the data and the mechanics, like I get that, right? But
Yep.
on the talent acquisition side, how looking at the um just how they parse through how it could be, 10 resumes are looked at in a matter of like minutes, so yours has to stand out.
Yep.
Looking at just the keywords and looking at how mapped to Google and how it's mapped to
Yeah.
LinkedIn and all of
Mhm.
that interconnection. That interplay is what I was not fully aware of, but when you up level
Yeah.
just what you're doing, it really helped big
Yeah,
time.
yeah, that's awesome. So, what would you say to someone who's accomplished but unsure how to take that next big step?
Be honest with yourself. Um, be honest with yourself, right? And for me, and I'm without getting emotional, right? Like I I live for what I do, right? And like I told you, we go from success to significance. Take the
Mhm.
leap. Bet on yourself, right? And you bet on yourself. You bet on, because I'll be honest, I looked you up, looked up the firm, looked up everything, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, she shot it to me straight. We talked. We had a great session, and we talked through just everything, all the questions, everything like that. It wasn't a canned response. It was like, look, this is what we could do. And for me, being honest with myself, it's like you need to take the leap.
Yeah.
And you've been betting on yourself your whole life.
Yeah,
Do it
yeah.
again.
Absolutely. There's no other person that you should ever believe in more than yourself. But Thomas, thank you so much for sharing your story, for believing in yourself and believing in me. It was a pleasure to work with you. I'm so happy for the work that you're doing, changing lives, making our world a better place. I mean, it's just a powerful reminder of what's possible when you stop playing small and go all in on your next chapter.
For sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Every single person that I come across that's a transitioning service member, I've been out of the military for well over a decade. I had the privilege to lead and be led. Um, there's a blind spot amongst service members and spouses of service members.
Yeah.
All of them, I give them your information. I'm like, you need to check her out. You need to
Thank
check her organization out
you.
because look,
Yeah,
finding gainful employment just in general is a challenge. But
absolutely.
if you're armed and you're ready and you have, just the tools that you need, you need to talk to Bonnie. She
Yeah.
got you.
Thank
So
you. Thank you, Thomas. Well, thank you for your service. It was so amazing catching up and keep on doing the amazing work that you do.
thank you, Bonnie. Thank you.